right, good evening, good evening. So I'm Marcus Harris, Marcus the Money Man, and today I have the pleasure of being on my brothers here, Devontae Hughes, JD McLemore, and just to kind of give you guys a brief introduction of who I am. I'm a small business owner, just like many of you who are out there in our audience. So I own a small appliance repair company here in California, and we service the 500,000 people here in our Kern County area. And I'm on my brother Devontae. I'll kick it over to you. Kind of give yourself an introduction, who you are.
Hey, this is Devontae Hughes. I'm also a business owner too. Just excited to talk to you guys about money and talk to you guys about business loans.
All right. And JD?
All right, so yeah, man, JD McLemore, aka the Champ of Real Estate, local realtor and investor here in Kern County with my brother Marcus Hughes. Well, Marcus Hughes, put both of y'all together. Marcus Harris, my brother. But yeah, servicing Kern County and helping throughout California.
All right, awesome. So, and today's topic, really, we come from the standpoint of, just like every business, you need funding to get started, but there's so many things that becomes hurdles when you start out, right? There's so many things that holds back. So the appliance repair isn't my first business, right? I was in medical equipment repair for years, as a loan officer. We have REI Financial Group to help, business owners like you guys get funding for your business, but there's so many things that stop me from doing other things, whether it's lack of capital, knowledge, the strategy, and you really have to be able to know when to push forward or when something is just kind of a false, that's really kind of holding you back from moving forward. So JD, I'll let you take it away. Tell us a little story about, your unspoken price of doing nothing.
So man, this kind of hit home to me because the unspoken price of doing nothing, it's something you don't initially think about. And I think it factors into not just in the business was what, our main focus and what we're going to be talking about, but in life in general. Perfect example, I used to work corporate, work in the corporate environment for about 15 years. And when I look back, I ended up leaving corporate because one, the glass ceiling that's there, yes, the ladder game that you have to play, I got sick of that. And then lastly, they ended up laying me off on top of that. So I didn't have much choice but to start over. I could have went back, but I really didn't want to go back to play that game. But one of the things I realized while I was there was how much time I wasted not bettering myself, figuring out exactly like some of the things you pointed out, getting the knowledge of other things that I could have been doing to venture out and build my own. I had the want to build something, but was fearful. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know where to gain the knowledge. I definitely was nervous about using my own capital. And it kind of came back to, kind of bite me in the butt where I had to start fresh with everything. And kind of just as I built my real estate business and everything up, it's been great learning and going through the process of it, but I definitely didn't have to make it as hard on myself as I did. And what I realized is that because I had that fear there and I wasn't seeking the knowledge, I allowed that pain point to kind of create a compound interest to where when everything did hit, it was just a heavy blow. So I look at it, if I would have went through the process, the learning process and the learning curve of learning, how to invest the money, how to get, creative capital to start a business, to start my real estate business or whatnot, I would have of course I would have went through a pain point then initially, but over time it would have eased what I had to go through later, you know?
Yeah.
So I view it kind of like, it's kind of like working out. A lot of people don't want to work out because it's uncomfortable. You don't want to go through the process of being sore. You don't want to have to learn how to use the weights. You don't want to learn how to meal prep. Not even that, and sometimes it's not even that you don't want to, you're just uncomfortable doing it. But over time, if you don't do these things, your health declines. It doesn't, and it's not a huge amount of pain initially, but all of a sudden, when you have to go to the hospital and take a bunch of different medicines or whatnot, now you're facing the true pain of your inaction. And it's kind of the same thing. I look at that with business. You may have a great idea that you're kind of sitting on, or a great game plan, but you're nervous because you have a good job. You have good benefits. You don't want to lose or disrupt this. So you're sitting on this $1 million idea while collecting $100,000 a year. But you're scared of that pain point. You're scared to move forward to at least start the process of this idea because of that fear. And what you're not realizing is that your inaction is going to cause you pain in the future. You may not realize it, but when that job, if they start calculating numbers behind the scenes in what I used to call the ivory tower, and they start calculating numbers and they look at your position, they're like, hey, they aren't going to even call you Marcus Harris. They're going to say, hey, employee 12456, we don't need this position. We don't need to give them $90,000 a year. How can we eliminate this? And that's how they're going to view you in that pain. That could all you could have softened that blow of that coming, because there's nothing you can do when it happens. Trust me, I've had it happen to me. There's nothing you can argue, you can fight, you can cry all about it. But when it happens, you aren't going to expect it to happen to you. Nobody expects it to happen to them, but it can happen to you. And you're going to look back and wish you would at least started the process a lot earlier than later.
Yeah, dude. And that's for real, because in my corporate director position, I would have to fight off every year and justify people's positions, salary increases. And man, it gets tiring after a while. And I would see like my counterparts, if they weren't prepared, they were just like, do it, gone.
Yeah, gone.
Yeah. Well, you really, you got to make sure it's so many factors that goes into working for somebody else that you just leave to the competency of the people that are above you.
Man.
Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I heard a good point you made too, JD, just about, I was thinking about when you saying all that is, all of the times you see those things that could have been done better, right, in the business, and maybe you offered that advice, it wasn't taken, and you thinking like, why was that taken? I mean, that should have been done. Why didn't we use this software versus their software? Why don't we try this system versus that system? And I really think it's that pain part too, playing again and saying, you should do it yourself. Go start your own business. Go do it for yourself. I've had that happen, definitely. So my business is in social work, but I'm transitioning right now to a non-emergency medical transportation business out here in Gary, Indiana. And I've seen that I've offered many suggestions about doing things a certain way, and it wasn't highly valued. I'm sitting doing my job, working really hard. And I know it can be done differently. Now knowing that, well, those things were handed to me because I was supposed to do it in my own business. So now those same valuable assets I was offering to my boss, I'm actually using my own business right now. The software, the automation, they're using the mobile apps, those things that sometimes for a big business, you're working for a big business, they kind of see you as a new guy. They understand that, well, they think they're doing the business really, really well. They're probably doing it for themselves really, really well, but they don't see the value in what you're providing because they see you as, oh, you're a worker, you do this work. That's my job.
You're a worker, and this is the way we've been doing things.
Yeah, we've been doing it. It's working out fine.
Exactly.
It's working out fine. We're not going to change it. But that's actually where you have the opportunity to capitalize because they missed the boat. And you come in and you do that, he capitalized on it.
Yep. And I totally agree with you, because they're so, and that happens. I know with my old company, they started to recognize some of that. And what they started to do is they started creating these almost like think tanks.
Yeah.
For people that had ideas, whether it be for app development or efficiency development, and they made these think tanks. But the cold part about it was, if you came up with an idea in this think tank, guess what? It was no longer your idea.
Your idea, exactly.
It was their idea. And I've seen them make millions by taking other people's ideas.
So yeah.
That's a fact, man. It was to the point where, because I work at a company that kind of grew real big, and the ideas that I pumped in, I don't own any of those ideas. And I remember leaving out and people talking about this program or how this, strategy works. And they're like, oh yeah, such and such created this. I'm like, I created that years ago.
Man.
It's
like I said, employee 14526 came up with a great idea a few years ago.
Yeah. I think that goes back to the pain of not moving. I know another thing that's happened recently. I don't know if we're going to talk about this yet, but we're still dealing with some of the effects of it. COVID, COVID comes along. If you have a business and you're dealing with COVID, I saw a lot of people just put their business on pause. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do right now. I'm looking to see what's going to happen. And then what I did see is I see a lot of businesses like rebranding themselves, reinventing themselves, like revisioning. During that time where you couldn't do anything, I saw businesses doing some very smart things, figuring out the opportunities, figuring out the spaces where there was a need, but there was nothing for them to do, but they maybe had some of the pieces already in their business to do that, fulfill that need. And they did great. They did amazing. A lot of businesses did really, really well in COVID. A lot of businesses died, but a lot of businesses did really, really well.
And that is so true. I like, you're totally on point with that. Like that's a perfect example of those businesses that ended up failing probably had a fear of moving. They were used to doing things the old way. They didn't realize that there was going to be a pain point by not pivoting to what was new. I saw a bunch of examples of that where some people just literally just folded. They just said forget it, and they accepted what was coming to them. I saw a lot of my personal gym was a perfect example of somebody that pivoted. They moved pretty much all the equipment that he had outside and made it so it was spread out, so he had social distancing. So you saw these big gyms like 24-hour things like that, filing bankruptcy, getting shut down. There was literally a 24-hour around the corner from my gym. They had to shut down. My gym owner ended up absorbing a big amount of clients. It almost became like this social secret club. And it was because he learned how to pivot. He updated all his his stuff to code, where how he was cleaning, having masks at the front, checking temperatures at the front. He did everything he needed to pivot to avoid having to deal with that pain of doing nothing. Like he just said, forget, I'm not just gonna sit and accept that they're telling me I can't do this. He's like, okay, what are the rules? Okay, well, I'll adjust on the fly. I can work with this. And every time they changed something, he adjusted. And it boomed, it made his business boom. But I think, like you said, it just came down to that, eliminating that fear, or even that cocky thinking that you don't have to change and that things are going to stay the same and you can function, you need to function.
Exactly.
All the businesses I feel like that really kind of thrived during that time period, they had a few things together, right? They had their products and services were on point. Mm-hmm. They were financed properly, and they exited. Mm-hmm. And I think the finance part is where people miss out, because I don't want to run my credit. I don't want to have this, but nobody saw this coming. However, a lot of businesses made it because they had the strategy put into place to be able to lean on lines and lines that were good and still available, not the ones that disappeared at the beginning of the pandemic.
Right.
And I feel like why I didn't have any quorums to continue to push through because I had my lines set up and none of them went anywhere. So the way that we managed the business was, we're a cash kind of transaction-based business. However, when it's time to expand, we had 1 truck, now we have 5 trucks.
Right.
And you can only do that with confidence if you have a strategy in place and you're financed properly. And man, and I think not seeking to understand what you can get and putting your full plan into place, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, I agree totally.
I think that's a huge thing, Marcus. Like I can say that even for myself, with starting off with real estate investment, I missed out on some opportunities because I didn't know all the different ways that I can get funding for deals that I had going on. I was learning it I did a lot of self-knowledge early on and was looking at a lot of these deals the traditional sense, whether it be wholesaling or trying to flip it, trying to find someone to partner with, that was close to me, versus finding out that there are multiple entities that are willing to loan you a percentage of the deal if you can show them that the numbers make sense. And so I can admittedly say I missed out on maybe close to $100,000, if not a couple $100,000, just on deals because I didn't go seek that knowledge and wasn't aware of it, and kind of just, once again, my own fault, doing things the traditional way or the way that I felt they should be done, or the safe way, I should say, where I felt protected.
Definitely. I think the word debt has a connotation for folks that I think there is a proper way to use debt and there's an improper way to use debt. Let's just say it that way, And I think when you start understanding how to use debt, you got a clear plan in place. You see a need opportunity. You've done the numbers that say that you can make a profit, and you know how to manage that debt properly. It can be a really good tool in your asset. And actually, I will go. I know most of you all probably have heard Robert Kiyosaki talk about money, right?
Yeah.
And in my intro beginning, I listened to him on repeat. Whatever he said, I want to absorb. And I heard him say that in so many words, when he got over the fear of debt, the fear of money, then it became easy. When he knew that he can make money without having any money, then everything became easy. And what he used was debt. He leveraged debt.
Yep.
So it's totally about that mindset, about understanding how to properly use debt, getting over the fear that your mom and your grandma told you, your uncle told you about debt. Baby, don't get in debt, No, debt is a very good thing.
Pay them people back their money, baby. Pay them people back their money.
Everybody who is doing well financially has leveraged debt. Even the United States of America leverages debt.
Man.
So
that's I think you made a great point. And being very upfront, I know in our culture that is debt is definitely a thing that's frowned upon. Like we don't use it, like you said, we don't use it the wealthy way.
Right.
We use it the fear-based way. It's very fear-based, unfortunate. And totally what you're hitting every nail on the head. If you start learning how to leverage that debt to your advantage, it actually comes back to you. When you start learning that you can rebuild your credit, if you started off bad, there's still a way you can rebuild your credit and use it to help to work for you. Yeah. Like it's a great tool to have in your tool belt, but you got to eliminate that fear and you got to seek that knowledge on how to use it and be disciplined enough to use it the right way.
I can't add anything more on that, but realistically, debt. I don't know. I struggled with that. And it was a point where when I finished college, I worked on and fixed my credit score. And then I got to, really, I purchased some education on how my credit profile should look. Because, and then even getting my professional license when I was doing mortgages, you would learn that there's some debt that's good and there's some debt that you really can't do anything about that affects your lending capabilities, right? So really getting not qualified, but understanding what it takes and what a good profile looks like when you're starting out. Even if you're bootstrapping everything with $50,000 worth of cash you got in your mattress, at some point the cash will run out. Right. Either the cash will run out or your business won't thrive. Right. You'll be stagnant. So the education is key. Really asking the right questions is key.
Marcus, quick question for you. Once you decided to take that bull by the horns, eliminate that fear, and you started paying, like you basically pay for a program to kind of learn how to fix credit, all that debt. How impactful was it? Two, how fast did you see a turnaround on your mental state towards debt and leveraging it?
Immediately. So the turnaround happened from like October to the end of November. So went from, and again, I have been working on my credit score for probably about 3 years. I was at like mid sixes, and then by the time I was done, I was like 730, right, with a clean profile, ready to go. My big thing was that I was canceling credit cards before I knew it was wrong to cancel credit cards. But after getting in this program, I've got over 13 credit cards right now. So having the card doesn't mean I'm in debt. It just means I have access to the capital.
There you go.
And exactly. There you go.
I think like getting them, it helps your debt to income ratio, or your not your debt to income ratio, but it helps your credit utilization.
Yeah.
Which impacts your credit score. So if you don't have, certain things like mortgages or car notes, I think I told you before, JD, I've had cars before. I bought a whole bunch of them with cash, and then one time I bought it off the lot that wasn't on the books. So it looked like I had never purchased a car before. And purchasing the car and having that liability there and reporting good credit improves your score. This is so many things, that I didn't know existed or why it would help or harm,
All that stuff later on down the road that, like you said, came back and just bit you in the butt. Crazy, man.
Yeah, we back to the whole idea of being safe and just, being safe and versus learning the tools that we have available to us, learning how they work. It's the thing of like, you can avoid these things, credit cards, you can avoid the debt, right? But, and you said, well, I've been there too. Like I'm using my own cash. I'm not going to use any debt, right? Because I felt like it was safe, but now realizing like I'm losing. I'm losing. I'm taking all the risk. I'm taking all the risk. But if I use other people's money, then I can, spread that risk out, right?
You can have multiple things going on if you spread that money out too. You can have multiple businesses going. It's crazy to think everything you can do with it.
Exactly. Because I'm leveraging other tools, right? So it's not about avoiding the tool like it's a trap. It's about learning how to use that tool. And when you learn, your confidence grows. The confidence grows. Definitely grows.
Real talk. Yeah, I think, like you said, I think it goes back to that we have that fear with debt that means they could come take what's mine.
Yeah.
So it's if I use their money, they can come take what's mine. But like you said, I think you'll gain that confidence that it doesn't have to work that way if you advance your knowledge. If you advance your knowledge in it and just, hang around the right people, talk to the right people, take the right classes and courses, and that fear, like you said, slowly, you start realizing why the wealthy are wealthy. You start realizing what they're doing. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
My mom and my uncle were wrong about me going down here and just paying cash to these people for this, that, and the third,
Exactly.
But yeah, man, it's one of those things. Like over time, though, you get around the right circles, like you said, your eyes will start to open, and once that happens, hopefully you'll be able to just kind of feel free. Like it took me a little while, even when I got all these credit cards. It's like, man, what am I spending on? Nothing.
Right.
Expenses. Right? So business expenses and realistically, starting out the appliance repair company, I pay all of my VAs with the credit cards. So, I can, it's roughly, and also I have like credit line too. So roughly with my line, I can spend like $30,000, and really that's like a payment of $500, $550 a month based on, my APR and stuff like that. So it's not really a lot. Mm-hmm. And you can need that sometimes when you're just trying to develop something on the back end, or people don't factor R&D into their business. It's like, hey, I'm going to sell soap, and you're testing, buying different things, and now you're broke.
Real quick, Marcus, go back. R&D, can you explain that to everybody, what that stands for? Because I just thought I was going to go over some people's heads.
Hey, you got to do your research and your development, right? Because you can have an idea, but again, it goes to having your product or your service down packed, and then the execution. I'm doing appliance repair. I was in healthcare medical repair before. It's the same thing, but it's not the same thing. So there's bumps in the road and there's some expenses, those sunk costs that, it just happens to get started going. And then there's other things where you think you may need, and you never need that tool ever.
Man.
So, but you don't want to tank your whole business just starting out, or you don't want to delay not starting so you won't have a $80 credit card bill for this, $3,000 expense that you accrue.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what you're saying, Marcus, just about I think there's two mindsets when it comes to people starting a business. I realized this because another business I started, and actually during COVID, I had to rebrand that business, and I turned it. I was renting cars for Uber. I had 4 Priuses I was renting out to Uber drivers.
Yep.
And then once COVID happened, then that killed my business, basically,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, but I had these cars, and I had this other business, the social service business, right? And so I'm like, okay, how can I take what I have and get something new? And 6 months earlier, a friend of mine told me about this non-emergency medical transportation business. And I had my eyes set on real estate, and I really wasn't there. And I was like, let me go back and figure out if I could do this. I got the cars, I got the LLC that I can just, funnel right into this business. And I got some of the experience because I've been doing this work sort of kind of. I know how this generally works, right? So I had the experience, I had the tools in place, and I had just got a business line. I just got a business line with a bank. So the finances come in place. So right now, I got the tools, I got the experience, I got the money to go and do it right now. And so what I realized is that there's two mindsets again going. One is the mindset of a business owner. One is the mindset of an employee. Employee says, stay safe, do it yourself, right? Don't take a lot of risk, right? Business owner says, find intelligent people to do stuff for you. Pay them to do it for you. Mm-hmm. Get it done as soon as possible. Don't get stuck along the way, and things will happen. things what. So example, what happened was, so my car needed, I think I went through like $1,300 of repairs of my car in like a month. It was catalytic converter went out. Then I needed AC. So I was like, do I want to spend this money? Yes, I want to spend this money as soon as possible. I got a good mechanic. I paid him the money, and I move on.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I had the financing in place. I had the line of credit in place, and I had the experience. I had done it before the old way where I said, now I'm going to get out there and repair this car myself. I've done it that way before. And it ends up taking you way more time. You end up losing lots of money.
Right.
And you end up losing pace and motivation to go do the business because you too barred down with repairing this car. What's that you're not supposed to be doing? Go pay the person supposed to do the job to get the job done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And move on. Get the business going.
I think that's a good trait of all really good CEOs, but it's the hardest thing to do when you're by yourself, you're solo.
Yeah.
I still got a bucket of paint and and some patch so I can patch the wall in the back. So I'm about to get on the phone right now and call somebody to come finish.
Spark me. Spark you do not do this. No, I know, dude. I totally agree. Like even when me and you first started putting stuff together and working together, Marcus, like when you brought up, adding the VA to it, it was like, oh man, we gotta pay somebody else to make these out. Like I can make these calls, I can put together these lists. But when me and you sat back, especially once we read Million Dollar Real Estate Agent.
Yep.
We started looking at these systems. It was just like, okay, this makes sense because if I'm putting this list of people that I need to call together, I'm literally taking time out of my downtime to put this together and type it up. Yeah, I know for sure it's going to be done the right way, but I could have literally taken the time out, and it's going to be a learning curve, taking the time out to teach somebody how to do this, corrected them along the way, paid them, and then I could be in front of potential clients more, which is where the money is made. Yeah. That's what needs to get done. And as we progress, like I see the advantages. Like right now, my VA is making calls right now while I'm on this call or on the Zoom call right now. So opportunities are being found without me having to do it. So there is like you said, Devontae, having that mindset of a CEO instead of an employee and saying, okay, I don't have to just grind my gears and work hard and I'm going to tough it out and da-da-da-da-da. Like, no, I should work smarter. I should have somebody that's working while I'm sleeping or working while I'm doing something different, because then the opportunities keep coming in. Exactly. But it's definitely a concept that you have to train and discipline yourself to get accustomed to it.
Well, hey. All right, guys, we've been going about a half an hour now. So we got any closing thoughts?
Man, I done talked. I'll let you start, Devontae. I don't talk too much, man. Let me shut
up. No, I think my closing thoughts are, we talked about a lot of good things. Talked about, the topic is just the fear of staying still, that the cost of staying still, not moving. I think for our viewers, if you have an idea, if you have a business you're going right now, you're starting a business, I think it goes back to Marcus. You did a really good job of outlining those three things you need to have. You need to have the finance, you need to have a secure plan, and you need to be able to execute. I think, this is actually good. If you mess it up, you're gonna learn a whole lot better than staying still and doing nothing. Even if you get into a situation where you think you're gonna die, I promise you, I've been there. Yeah. I promise you will not regret not staying still. It's a whole lot better than thinking, I need to go to this person that can tell me how to do this business. No, you need to get going, make the mistakes, make them fast, make the adjustments faster. And I think you're going to be way happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Just drop the mic, Devontae. Drop the mic. Drop the mic, man. Sexual chocolate.
It goes into that mindset too, man. That goes into that mindset of using money as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's difficult for people. So, yeah.
No,
But hey, this
I was
is
gonna say I totally agree. I'm sorry, Marcus. Let me cut you off, man. But I totally agree, Devontae. Like that, failing fast is key, and gaining an understanding quickly that just because you have to start over, if you fail, you really aren't starting over.
Yeah.
You're starting with the knowledge that you've gained from failing. You will not make that same mistake again. I guarantee you. Like I told you, I have fumbled, literally had deals in my hands and fumbled them, and I'm like, I won't make that mistake again. But it definitely gave me confidence where it's just like I had to fall on my face to learn, like, okay, I can. One, I'm gonna be able to get up again. I'm not gonna stay down here. I'm gonna be able to get up again. But two, I'm not at the same starting point I was when I first took my journey. And so I think that's huge, man. I think you hit the nail on the head, brother.
Well, hey, I wanna end it with a call to action for anybody out there who, one, they don't have their strategy in place. Two, they just don't know about the different funding options, equipment loans, or they need to get, they got their business started, but they need something to bridge them through month to month. There's loans out there for you, even if you're not in business for 2 years, that aren't just straight up credit cards. So if you're one of these people and you want more information, please just go to the website, reifinancialgroup.com. Speak with our Chief Funding Officer, Devontae Hughes. If you need any strategy about your business, I've managed close to $40 million book of business with, almost 70 employees. So if you're looking to scale big, or even just, talk about what does it take to actually manage that amount, please reach out to us, shoot us a message in the contacts, and someone will get out to you, schedule a call, so we can, talk it up and help you out. All right. So with that being said, thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Everybody who watched, we'll make this a weekly thing. So please check us out in the group, Small Business Funding and Strategies. Have a good one.